And welcome to another episode of Even More Mashed Up, the pop culture podcast where two professors talk about all things pop culture. I am Patrick.
And I am Alan. And it is kind of a nightmare out there today.
It is indeed.
But one of the nice things about being back in the studio is that we have to be really regular in the show. Like, we can't sandbag it anymore.
Yeah.
Isn't that your dream, to be regular?
See, when you
do
say...
Do you dream of regularity?
Yeah, see...
Yeah, you do.
When you say regularity,
yes.
For men our age, that tends to mean something else.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So...
This has been kind of a nightmare of an opening?
Possibly, yes it has. It has not been my dream
opening. I think Zach is kind of like drifting off.
Yeah,
like it's almost like he's falling into a nap.
Yeah, Zach's like, what are they talking about being regular? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because I don't have these problems.
No, because I'm a young man.
Because I'm like, yeah.
Regular is, I don't know, what's regular?
A clock.
There you go, like a clock. Yeah. So we're talking about the Sandman today.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell from...
No. The very
very
light
subtle
touch that I was giving it.
Yeah. Well, I think Nightmare was good, but Sandbag I don't think quite worked. Because
Sand?
Yeah, but that's a totally different context. Of like floods,
well,
which, by the way, that's very insensitive getting the hurricane just happened.
Well, the Sandman has a little pouch full of sand. That's a sandbag.
No, it's a sand pouch.
The sandbag.
Yeah, it's a pouch.
Bag.
You just called it a pouch.
A pouch is a small bag.
Right, but it's a pouch.
Right, thus it's a bag.
But a sandbag is big. Oops. I already broke the don't touch the mic rule.
Remember Zach's his one instruction.
No, Zach had lots of instructions.
That's true. He did. He did. Which is, we've only been doing this for 7 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's always something we can learn.
Yeah, but we haven't been in the radio station for quite a while.
It's true.
We could, in the TV studio, we could play it pretty fast and loose.
It's true. It's like a dream come true.
Okay, there you go. Segueing right back in.
Yes,
excellent. So we are
trying to do.
So we are talking about Sandman. So Alan,
that's right. Yes, Patrick.
Was Sandman your dream of a show, or was it more of a nightmare?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me how familiar I was with the show first, but I can live.
That's right. I was going to. So, Alan,
yes.
How familiar are you with the comic that the show was based on?
Okay, to be clear, and our listeners would know this, but Zach might not.
Mm-hmm.
You're the canon guy. And I'm the guy that tries to get away from canon. Like,
I don't think that's true.
I'm not going to judge a show on whether it's like on the level of its fidelity to the original.
But what you're saying is you've never read the comics.
No, that's not true. I did. I didn't start reading the comic when it was launched.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Vicky picked it up and
started
reading it. And so I've read bits and pieces of it, but I've never sat down and read the Sandman from beginning to end. So, number one, I don't care about canon. Number two, I don't really know the canon here. So I can judge the show just on its merits. I assume you are a longtime reader?
No.
No?
Oh, God, no. I have only read, so what was it, about a month or so before the show started?
Yeah.
Barnes & Noble had one of their, buy 2 graphic novels, get the third one free.
That's the first time you read it?
Deals, and so I bought, they had all of the hardcover Sandmans.
Yeah.
And I told myself if they have that sale again, and the hardcover Sandmans are there, that I would get them. And then I read Volume 1, which is basically what the first season is based on.
Right.
Because it collects the first 2 story arcs. I read that about a week before the show started.
So you were not a Sandman. So neither one of us come as huge the Sandman fans.
No. I feel I should be more of a Sandman fan. It is kind of a knock against my comic book expert credentials that I am not a Sandman aficionado, as they say.
It feels a little too horror oriented and a little too, I don't know, adult and not spandexy for your.
See,
your
I was waiting. I was waiting for the insult to come.
Right, you like the bright tights.
I mean, yeah, when Sandman was coming out, yeah, that's that was kind of a bread and butter.
You've matured since then.
Yeah, I mean, I do get some I was going to say Kurt Busiek's Astro City, but that's still kind of tights.
Yeah, you do like the tights.
Aerosmith, that's not Kurt Busiek's.
That's a band.
Aerosmith.
So
no, he's got a series called Aerosmith.
Sure, that's a band.
No, it's spelled differently. Yeah. It's totally different.
Okay.
And
not stolen at all.
Undiscovered Country. That one's more of a dystopia future type thing. Mm. So I do. Fables. Fables. I collected Fables.
You know what our listeners like? Just lists of stuff.
Yeah, lists of stuff.
And then I once went and bought this.
Yeah. I like to think that I have diversified from my early days.
So the good news is then, because we're not really canon-oriented for this, we don't have to get into the whole woke casting conversation about, why is death not white?
Well, I mean,
Why is Desire not white?
I feel we want to get into.
Was Desire white?
Yeah, Desire's the
other one. Who's the other one? I forget.
Yeah, Desire is the
Despair. Who's Despair? No, Despair. Also
Despair's.
white.
Yeah, I would say the only one that's.
There's not much woke casting in this. Now I'm offended.
No, there is. If you've read the comic, you know that there is. Because besides Death,
yes.
Rosemary is white in the comic.
Oh, okay.
I mean, again, the comic for when it came out is very white. So I am happy to see it.
Not really surprising.
Diversify, and even Gaiman says that one of the reasons they diversified the show is he wants the comic to kind of reflect the world, that it's in more.
And maybe we better understand that.
Yeah,
but it's going to make people unhappy.
But yeah, Desire is, I believe the actor is trans.
Well, Lucien, right? Isn't Lucien?
Oh, Lucien. Yes, Lucien is
a white guy.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah, white old guy in the comic. Lucien is.
So I do remember that from the comics.
Yeah.
So score a point for me.
Yeah.
So we don't have to talk about the woke casting then. I feel like we talk about it so much it's like a skip in a record.
That's true.
Like because next week we're going to be talking about Rotten Tomato bombing.
Yeah.
Stuff or whatever.
So
seems like. Can't go anywhere in America today.
Regular listeners can probably just, assume that we don't really have a problem with the woke casting.
Didn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have bothered me even if I had read the comics.
Well, I did read the comics, but not in any
I've read the
comics.
I mean, I read them, but like a week and a half before the show came out. But
yeah, maybe we don't care enough anymore.
Or I'd like to think that we're just enlightened. So, but yeah, so neither of us has like a terrible, affection for the original comics.
Although I do love Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
In general. And I'm kind of half suspecting that Zach has lined up Neil. And he's waiting out in the Starbucks. And he could come into the studio at any minute just to join the conversation.
I mean, considering Zach asked us 5 minutes before the show what the show is on, I feel like he probably wouldn't have known that he should book.
Maybe that was it's all subterfuge. Because if Neil Gaiman were here, he would give Zach a backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, pretend like you don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
Pretend like you don't know what's on the show.
Yeah.
Just play dumb, Zach.
Pretty sure I saw Neil standing in line behind Tom at the Starbucks.
Possibly. So you're telling me there's a chance?
No, there's no chance.
Okay. All right.
There's no chance at all.
Right. Maybe next week, Zach. Put him on the list.
Yeah, but then
I'll get him on the list. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, but then we've already talked.
So we
about
got Jimmy
the show.
Fallon and then Neil.
No, Jimmy Fallon was on the list of people not to invite.
bring.
And Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel is unless he apologized.
Right. The in-person apology, we said he could come on the show.
Yes. Then we get him on.
Yeah. Right. You didn't remember that, did you? You do a podcast, and I don't know how you do it, but somehow you as soon as you go out the door, you erase it. It's like flushing it away, and it's gone.
To be fair, that's not just the podcast.
All right, because Zach started talking, and I could tell by the look on your face, you had no idea what he was talking about.
I knew Fallon was wrong.
Well, there's so many Jimmys. There's so many Jimmys.
Yeah. Jiminy Cricket?
Yep.
That's a Jiminy.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing, right?
No.
No,
because then he'd be Jimmy Cricket. That doesn't even.
Jimmy is like a shortened Jiminy.
No.
Jiminy.
No. Pretty sure Jimmy is, it's actually a lengthened James.
Right. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Names are hard.
Yeah.
Do you have any more spontaneous questions you want to ask me?
Oh, yes. So, Alan.
Yes.
Was the Sandman Netflix series your dream of a show, or was it more of a nightmare? We'll tighten this all up in post.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we need, Zach, is to really compress it.
Yeah, you got it.
Really compress.
Yeah, because so compressed that it sounds like we know what we're doing.
That's right.
You got it.
Turn it into a diamond. Yeah. So I would say, and just going to make you mad, neither. Really?
Okay.
For me, what I loved about the concept of the show was the idea of anthology. I like shows that are about lots of smaller stories. And like Neil Gaiman writes these unbelievably great characters who are very human and very interesting. And the idea of kind of using dream as a way of kind of weaving in and out of stories, I thought seemed like a great idea. For me, the anthology kind of aspect was really mixed, though. Like there were subplots and arcs that I really enjoyed within, and then like sometimes juxtaposed to things I didn't care about at all. For instance, I think we talked about this in episode 4. Like there's kind of 2 plot lines that are running. There's Dream is battling Lucifer for the helm.
Yes,
which I found to be I'm sorry, Neil. like I just found it to be kind of uninspiring television. Like I was not on the edge of my seat. I didn't find it particularly interesting. But it was paired with John escaping from the asylum.
Is that when he's in the car with Rosemary?
In the car with Rosemary. And to me, John and Rosemary, it was like a high rent Tales from the Crypt kind of thing. Like a really well told horror story where you give the guy a ride and you're just having this really pleasant conversation and they seem like a great person, but like the more they talk, the more you realize, holy, like this is like,
it's like Taxi Cab Confessions but darker.
Yeah, by a significant factor. But yeah, like to me, the way that kind of built the tension, like in Rosemary, who did a terrific job playing the part. Yeah. And then, the end kind of having that twist where she gets the amulet of protection. Yeah. And kind of, I assume she'll be back in season 2. I really, if I'm going to watch season 2, I want Rosemary back.
Yeah, I don't know because in the comic, he kills her in the comic. He kills Rosemary in the comic. So she unless
so the Cannon Police have arrived now.
So I'm just saying.
Here they are.
I feel like you set me up for that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. So I don't, and I can't remember what happens to the amulet, but I think it's destroyed in the arc.
You're asking I don't know. I know, and I definitely don't know.
So I don't know how, I'm curious to see, because I know, I read something on Twitter or something where Gaiman said one of the reasons they didn't kill Rosemary was to sort of send a signal to viewers of the show that had read the comics that these were not going to be exactly like the comics.
In other words, he was defunding the Cannon Police. That's actually really good.
No, it's not.
Yeah, he's defunded the Cannon Police.
No, it's awful and also really just politically
too fraught.
Yeah,
I'm not saying we should defund the police, although maybe I am.
No, you're making a joke out of defunding the police, which is going to pick off both the police and the people that want to defund them.
Nobody's going to be happy.
Yeah,
with
you managed to somehow tick off both sides of that.
I feel like that's my talent anymore. Just stepping into it. You didn't like defunding the Cannon?
No, that was really bad.
Just need more Cannon social workers to kind of help people through it.
Oh
I don't know. The metaphor might be played
out. Your metaphor is getting you. I'm sorry, your metaphor just was.
Never. No, the look on your face. You felt bad that you didn't think of it first.
No, I'm not.
That was a Patrick Hamilton kind of line, and it didn't come from you.
I will
now
100%
you're upset.
say you can have that all to your own.
All right.
I just want to make it clear to anyone listening to the show
I own defund the Cannon
that
Police.
is yes. There you go.
Happy to say it.
So yeah, well,
it is my political position too.
Yeah,
I don't like the Cannon Police.
Yeah. I almost said something else, but I won't.
Yeah. You've militarized the Cannon Police.
I have not. So, yeah, I think part of it too is that David Thewlis that plays John,
brilliant,
is because
so good.
Because really, that episode, and then I'm pretty sure the one in the diner is the next episode, episode 5, which was easily my favorite episode of the series.
I thought,
and had 95% of that had to do with Thewlis. Like he was just brilliant in the role, and for me, he really anchored the first half of the series for me.
100%. I think my favorite episode was the 4th, but only half of it.
Okay.
The other half, it's a weird experience.
Yeah,
to be as invested in one and not in the other. But 5 probably did the best front to end.
Yeah, it's easily the best constructed episode, I would say.
The way the diner is kind of set up, it's an anthology within an anthology.
Yeah.
In some ways, you're meeting people and you're kind of putting all their different stories together and thinking about the way they're interacting or not.
Yeah.
With each other. So, to me, really well constructed. That was the other one that I had listed here as what I liked about the anthology-ness.
Yeah, see, what's interesting is except for a few moments here and there, it didn't really, and really maybe just for me, episode 6.
Yeah.
Other than that, it didn't feel like much of an anthology to me. It felt like...
Which is 6 Death?
Yeah, okay. Death, and then the guy in the bar that he meets every 100 years. Which
you know what? Actually, that was a really nice one. I like the twist on Hobbs.
I think it is Hobbs.
Yeah,
something like that. I was just I was a little mixed on that episode because that's from 2 separate issues of the comic.
Yeah. Cannon Police.
And the way they grafted them together with just Death taking Sandman to the bar, it felt really clunky.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yes, we are literally grafting these 2 stories together, both of which are really good stories.
Yeah.
But other than that, it felt like 2 kind of arcs. That you had the Thulis arc, and then you had the Corinthian arc.
Right.
Even though Corinthian's in the series from the
and yet
the
it was
get-go.
an anthology. In many ways, it was trying to be everything.
Yeah.
All at once. But I've got some fair or foul for that.
Okay.
Later.
So yeah. So I I know you said that you when you were kind of framing your reaction to the show.
Yeah.
That you thought I was going to be angry with it. But I'm not, because I had a similarly mixed reaction to the series as well.
So another one of these kind of milquetoast, warm water episodes where we're both kind of agreeing that it's not even good or bad.
I thought, for one, I really liked the first arc better than the second. I from a plot standpoint, I thought the second one had some issues, at least for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And so so part of it is that, I thought the first 5 episodes were really good.
Yeah.
And then kind of the second half, wasn't as great. So it felt like it got weaker as it went along.
The cats didn't save it for you at the end?
Well, I just watched the cats the other day. I really did like the cat one. Because
we can talk about that later.
The cats are evil.
But the animation was spectacular.
That animation was beautiful.
Just beautiful.
And I liked the Calliope episode as well.
Although that one was dark. Oh boy, where does inspiration come from?
Yeah.
Let's hope not, right?
Yeah. But I think part of so that was. So I really liked the plot. I think part of what I struggled with the show was in terms of how it was filmed.
You don't say.
Because there were a lot of ways. It seemed, for a show that is as fantastic as the Sandman source material is.
Yes.
The show on Netflix felt like it was filmed, with the exception of the diner and Thulis and Rosemary in the car.
Yeah. It
felt like it was filmed very kind of conventionally. Like everything felt very kind of flat to me. Like it didn't have the wonder that
dreams
I
ought
want
to have?
Yeah, that dreams ought to have. And for me, it reminded me of a couple of things. It reminded me of the first 2 Harry Potter films that are directed by Chris Columbus, which are perfectly fine, perfectly competent. But then you get to Prisoner of Azkaban by Alfonso Cuarón, and it's beautiful and magical, and you see what it could be. And then the other one that it reminded me of was the film version of Lion Witch and the Wardrobe that came out.
Did you actually watch that?
I think I watched it when it was on cable or something.
That was
and
brave.
I just remember when Aslan walks out.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be this big moment. And he walks out, and I'm like, yeah, it's a talking lion. There was no majesty or grandeur to it at all. And there were times where I felt that way about Sandman, like stuff that should have had more. And I would have liked to have seen the show do more to adopt the aesthetic of the comic.
I thought
in how it was filmed, and except for a few moments, it didn't really do that.
But there are those moments, and one of the moments that got my hopes up was right at the beginning when they're arriving at Burgess's house as they're doing the ceremony and they're going to capture Dream. Mm-hmm. It felt very comic booky to me. It captured a great kind of 1916 horror infused London or England or but it didn't sustain that.
Yeah.
There were just moments. Give me the scenes in the cab. I just really interestingly done. Some of the stuff in the diner was interestingly done too, but it had dreamlike stuff, but it didn't feel dreamlike.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there are ways in which it didn't feel quite as dreamlike, and things felt a bit more. I hate to use the word pedestrian, but in terms of the way it was.
Do you not like pedestrians?
Well, no, just not as a noun, using it as an adjective, or maybe an adverb. Maybe it's an adverb. I'm using it as. Not entirely
why don't you give us 5 minutes?
Yeah, let me get my Strunken White.
Yeah. Boy, you know what? If anybody listening to this gets the Strunken White, you know who will?
Neil Gaiman.
Ed had a real complaint. I got an email from Ed last week.
Oh.
In response to our discussion of Abbott Elementary.
Oh, jeez.
Just a quick sidebar. Mm-hmm. He began, long-time listener, first-time email.
Ed is, of course, one of our most devoted fans.
That's right. He listens regularly. And he said he was appalled at us.
Really?
Because we spent an entire hour talking about Abbott Elementary and visibility and the education crisis, and we never once asked, is it funny? He said, it's a comedy. And you never said, you never talked about, and clearly Ed's implication was he does not find Abbott Elementary funny. Now, I didn't feel like we need to talk about it much because Abbott Elementary to me is kind of funny at like a normal sitcom level.
Yeah.
It's not like side-splittingly hilarious, but it's not completely dreary.
Yeah.
But anyway, for Ed, if he's listening, if we didn't alienate him so much last week,
Yes.
like, I don't know, I thought it was mildly funny.
Yeah.
Entertainingly funny.
Yeah. So a question for you.
Yes.
How funny was Sandman for you? Because I feel like
Yes,
we have
for
to make
Ed,
sure.
for
Yes, we
Ed.
have to make sure. I don't want to get yelled at for Ed.
I did not find it funny.
Okay.
The various disembowelments, the skin flaying, the crumbling into death. None of these things I found funny.
Okay.
No, for Ed,
Just checking.
We should do the Ed Sichinsky
Oh yeah.
comedy meter for everything.
Everything we do. Yes.
Right, so
100%.
For me, Abbott Elementary on the Sichinsky meter
Yeah.
would be Abbott's about a 6.
I was gonna say 7. So
Okay,
kind of in the same.
Sandman.
Probably like a 1.
Yeah, I was going to say a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a 1 is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right,
we'll make
so-
sure.
Zach, please remember that we do not forget the Sichinsky meter.
Yes. Also, Zach, if you could remember that the Shisinski meter is Alan's creation, and thus he no longer gets to poo-poo me about numbers because you just created a whole number device.
Okay,
does
no,
have
all
you
on
there.
your
He
own.
got you there.
No, then I revise.
Nope.
it's
Too late.
The
Too
Sichinsky,
late.
the Sichinsky
Too
meter
late.
grades by
Too late.
colors.
No,
It's too late.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
too late.
you created
Yeah,
the
no,
numbers thing.
no,
It grades
no.
on an A to F scale.
No, sorry.
Darn it.
Numbers.
Oh,
You did numbers.
I curse Ed.
I win.
I curse him, I curse him.
Thank you, Ed.
So anyway, before we started that that slight
Segue.
yes, you were talking about how, it didn't feel very dreamy.
Yeah.
So it kind of spoiled the fair or foul, but I'd like to read something
Okay.
to you from CNET and Richard Trenholm.
You mean CNET?
Well, CNET.
Yeah, it's just called CNET.
Is it really?
Yes.
How would I know?
I don't know.
I don't read it.
Basic reading skills.
Right, I did.
CNET.
CNET.
It's just CNET.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Are you sure it's not Kinet?
Pretty sure it's CNET.
No, now you're backing off.
Pretty sure it's CNET.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
I
if
can
we're going to
guar-
do numbers.
Yeah,
How confident are you? Okay.
Like an 8.
Can I just give you what Richard said?
Yes, please do.
Okay. As a long gestating adaptation of a seminal comic book by Neil Gaiman.
Okay, that's a pretentious
There's
beginning.
just give him time.
Yeah.
There's a huge weight of expectation among readers and fans. But the good news is this atmospheric and engaging series is the stuff that dreams are made of.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean there's a little bit of atmosphere to it, but not as much as I would have liked.
I think that you've just spent 10 minutes completely trashing Kinet's.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there was just something about even some of the scenes in The Dreaming.
Yeah.
Like there was the one of the scenes where I think he's talking to Lucy, and it was late in the series where he's talking to Lucy, and he's in like, it's not his throne room, but it's a room that like has the big stair going up and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's like it's one of those rare moments where like I feel like they're just sitting in a CGI space. Like it just didn't feel as lived in or as I don't know.
I felt that way when, I'm going to get her name wrong, Lida?
It's Lyda. 'Cause
Lyda.
It's short for Hippolyta.
Right. So Lida and her
Hector,
her dead husband, go out after the earthquake, and they're like, oh, everything looks fine. And then like you get the camera angle looking at the house, and there's like these huge cracks in all the earth. I'm like, if they would really been standing on the earth, they might have seen that.
Yeah.
The CGI kind of hit it for them.
Yeah. I felt on a, particularly in the first half, I thought plot-wise the show worked very well.
Yeah.
I thought in terms of how it was filmed, and some of this might just because Netflix was only willing to commit so much money. I mean, a good amount of money, but
Yeah. I didn't think the special effects were. It wasn't like watching.
a CW show,
There you go.
which is what a lot of people have
man.
compared it to, which is kind of harsh.
No. One of our best bits ever was when we talked about the CGI for Gorilla Grodd on Flash. The worst CGI.
You did not
Never
watch
done.
later seasons of Supergirl.
It can't be worse than. It
Oh,
can't
yeah.
be worse than that.
Oh no, there were moments in
Worse than Grodd?
Yes.
Do you remember how bad Grodd was?
Yes. And listen,
Really?
listen.
Huh.
I believe when we talked about Grodd, I actually tried to defend Grodd at times.
You did.
I will not defend Supergirl.
But you
like Bobby would be proud of me because I watching Supergirl, I was like, oh, this is what Bobby's talking about all the time when he says these shows stink.
Yeah.
I now see it.
Now it's
So,
clear. So
that's how bad Supergirl was.
wait a minute. Now
It made me agree with Bobby.
Whenever I say something bad about superhero stuff, you claim that I've abandoned my previous positions. And
because you have.
But now you have too.
No, I haven't. I've just
It feels
matured.
like you did.
I've just matured.
Oh, for you it's maturity.
Yes.
For me it's a lack of fidelity.
Yes, it is. 100%.
Yeah.
You've never been as fidelis to the superheroes as I.
That's true. Yeah. It is true. You love certain things more than me.
Yep.
Superheroes?
Yep.
Legos?
Yep. Hall & Oates?
Easily. Oh, Zach, he loves Hall & Oates.
They're my favorite band ever.
Oh, we're starting this all
it's
over
a band.
again. Like,
I didn't even know it was a band. I thought it was like a food.
Whoa, somebody is really old.
Oh, Zach.
Somebody is
I'm so
really,
sorry. I'm
really
so sorry.
old.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that hurts.
I'm so sorry.
That hurts a lot.
Yeah.
Anywho, back to Sandman.
Yeah. The best part about being a big King's X fan
This is
always kind of irrelevant.
This is no longer
like
my
yours.
dream.
Yeah.
It's not my dream anymore.
I bet we could get Oates on the show, though.
Okay, we've had this conversation before.
If he'll play in a high school cafeteria,
Yeah.
he will certainly come and play at our Starbucks.
We should probably get back to talking about Sandman.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
So we're kind of moving towards the adaptation question, perhaps?
Yes.
As we're talking about how it was filmed?
Yes.
So I have 3 fair or foul.
Oh, good Lord.
On adaptation, but maybe you want to start, and I'll try to figure out who you most think.
Do a fair or foul, and then that can lead into my.
Okay.
Because clearly I'm going to have a lot to say on adaptation, so we should perhaps let you talk a little bit too.
Oh, how generous!
And I'm being generous.
Yeah.
I don't want to dominate.
Well,
the
I've
show.
got things to say about adaptation.
Okay.
I'll elbow my way in there.
Okay.
All right. So this is from WIRED, also known as Y.
What's sad is that I at the moment you started, you paused. I'm like, he's going to spell it out, even though he knows what it is. You're so predictable.
Yeah, because you're the real live wire.
Anyways, get back.
How many cookies did you have at the end of lunch today?
None.
3, or did you bring?
I had a salad.
Did you bring your little mini
No,
chocolate bars?
I had a salad. I had 2 of them that were
two.
in. That
Always,
were in. That
always
were in,
2. There's always 2.
That were in Michelle's office. Yes,
Yep.
I had 2 here.
He comes to the meeting. He lays out a napkin in front of him very precisely. He puts his diagonally sliced sandwich on one side. He puts his 2 candy bars.
This
on
episode
the
is like a dream in that we're talking about things that make no sense.
All right, here we go. This is from Wired by Graham McMillan.
Oh, Graham.
Yeah, here's the title. The Sandman is almost too faithful to its source material. To which he writes,
Okay.
Netflix's series treats Neil Gaiman's comic like gospel. It needed to treat it like inspiration.
I would say fair.
Oh.
Yeah, I think...
So it's too faithful is a fair argument.
Yeah, I think I think there are ways and ways. Like part of it, like we mentioned, like there's on the one hand, he let Rosemary live to show viewers that it wasn't going to be like the comics,
right?
But other than that, like except for stuff that it did to divorce the series from how the comic is much more based in the DC Comics universe at this point in the series, which I can talk about.
Do we have to, though?
Yes, we do.
Oh, no.
I have a page of notes on it. We have to talk about it.
Seriously? Oh, no. Of all the obscure heroes that he pulled in?
Yes.
Oh,
but beyond the switch to Rosemary, it is... And like swapping out Joanna Constantine for John and things like that.
And woke casting.
But it's all very cosmetic. Like, there is a lot... Because, like, for example, in the second half of the show, when... it's Rose Taylor. That's her name, isn't it? Rose... That's the Nexus. It's Rose, right?
I believe so.
So when she goes to Florida and stays in that house with, there's the Barbie and Ken and the 2 goth-looking people.
Right.
Like, they are exactly as they appear in the comic. There is nothing. And in the comic, they work perfectly fine.
Yeah.
In the show, they make no sense because they're this weird, like, 90s goth, kind of Vertigo-esque characters that are plopped down into the middle of an ordinarily filmed TV drama.
Right. So you get like this kind of juxtapositional
it's just
clash.
It's so weird. I'm just like when they showed up, I'm like, wow, they do not fit into this show.
Yeah.
Like they're just weird for the sake of weird.
Is the serial convention in there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because that felt like something that might work better in a comic book too.
I think it also might have worked better back in when the comic was coming out and the whole serial killer joke was more original back then.
Right.
Today it's kind of like, oh, it's the serial killer joke.
It was only not original they really kept working it
Yeah.
in a way, like they kept going back to that particular joke.
Well, and even then,
I'm not a fan of going back to jokes. Like I do one joke and then I'm on to the
let
next
it go.
one.
Yes,
100%. I'm a let goer.
you are. Yes, you would never tell a joke
No,
over
sir.
and over and over again.
No way.
So,
wait till you hear where my next one comes from, though.
And the other thing too is like frankly, I was shocked that Hector and Lyta Hall were in the show at all.
Yeah,
because they are so deeply interwoven into the DC Comics universe. Because in the comics universe, Hector Hall is the son of the Golden Age Hawkman and Hawkwoman.
Well, now there's this we need to know more about.
And Lyta Hall originally pre-Crisis, and this is going to make you happy because because Lyta Hall's her married name.
Yeah.
Her maiden name is Trevor.
No.
She is the daughter, pre-Crisis, she was the daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor.
To be clear, and our listeners know, but Zach doesn't.
Yeah.
There might be no character I hate in all of literary history.
Yes.
More than Steve Trevor.
Yes.
Hate that guy. When Chris Pine dies at the end of the first Wonder Woman movie, it's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Because he's gone.
Yeah,
and then they brought him back for number 2.
He doesn't like
Steve
Trevor.
Because he's a terrible guy.
Yeah. How is he a terrible guy, though?
Wonder Woman is this empowered woman, and Steve Trevor has spent most of his time in the comic books keeping her in her place.
Yes, you should go. You should listen to the Wonder Woman episode.
I'll take a listen. I'll take a listen.
We did.
I do not like Steve Trevor. I do not like him.
But the whole storyline, so he
had a daughter not with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, with the Golden Age Wonder Woman. Yeah, that's and
they
then
had a baby.
Yeah, and then post Crisis, she got because there was no Golden Age Wonder Woman, she got transferred to a character, a female Golden Age hero called Fury, which is what her adopted superhero name. They were both
Could we dig deeper, please?
They were both in Infinity Inc. That's where they met. They got married, and then
Infinity Inc. was a hot mess.
And then she retired basically because she had the baby.
Well, she's a woman and she had a baby, so what's she good for anymore but retirement?
Yeah, well,
which is not my position.
And then also Hector,
but the position of comic books at the time,
Hector
and
was
people
dead
who
at
read
that
them
time.
like Patrick.
So, but yeah, so it's like I did not expect to see them.
Could you dig into that genealogy like a little deeper?
Well, not so much the genealogy.
Oh, there's more. Good.
But Hector Hall, he was the Silver Scarab, was his superhero identity.
Everybody knows the
wearing
Silver
a
Scarab.
suit of nth metal. And
you do this.
He was killed by Hawkman and Hawkwoman's historical enemy Hathset.
So you do this, and you know it's not entertaining to listeners.
I find it very entertaining.
But you find it entertaining.
It is very entertaining.
Right. Like Zach has literally fallen asleep over there.
But yeah, it is a very messy part of the comics. And I'm surprised how close. I was expecting them to massage it more.
But they didn't really. They kept the names, but you don't get any of that background.
You
right?
don't, but it's still the whole. Well, and the baby becomes much more important later on. Lyta Hall comes back in the series and plays a very important role that I won't spoil. The whole she got pregnant, or she found him in the dreaming. That's all very from the comic. It was just weird that I expected none of that to be in the series.
See, it makes sense to me because they scrubbed the superhero but kept the.
Yeah, but for me, still keeping the names and everything, I'm like, well, then why scrub the superhero?
Man, she's a Trevor, though. Should I dislike her because?
Well, she's not a Trevor post-Crisis. She's I don't even know. I thought she was adopted by.
So the
family.
Netflix series is post-Crisis?
I assume so.
Okay. Do you have evidence of that?
No.
Okay. Just asking, because you're the expert.
But yeah, so
you do find then, like Graham did at Wired, that it's a little too faithful.
Yeah, that's one of the moments where I was just kind of like, I wish they had massaged that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now they did a good job with the John Dee character because in the comics that is the Justice League villain Dr. Destiny, who's retconned as who basically had power over dreams and nightmares. And Sandman basically retcons it as, he had, Morpheus's jewel.
Right.
But in the comics, to track him down, Morpheus actually goes and talks to Mr. Miracle, who then takes him to Martian Manhunter to find out where the warehouse is where the jewel is stored. So that's a whole thing that they did much better with in terms of divorcing from the comic.
Yeah, even I'm getting a little drowsy at this point.
Hurtful. So hurtful.
All right, so let me drop another adaptation on you.
Yes.
All right, Fair or Foul.
Yes.
Which one should I go for next?
I don't know because I can't see them.
All right, so this one's from Jennifer Woolette.
Okay.
And I think I'm saying this right. At ARS Technica.
Ars Technica.
There's a space between the R's and the Technica, though.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you spell out the letters of R's.
R's. They're all caps.
I think it's just Ars Technica. Anyways, just read the Fair or Foul.
Okay. Like many nerds of a certain age, I have long adored Neil Gaiman's Sandman graphic novel series.
Okay, well, that clearly applies to none of us.
It was an enormous influence on my younger self, so I was thrilled to hear of Netflix's planned adaptation when it was announced in 2019. But I also experienced some trepidation. This is a long one, sorry.
This is a very long one.
Given the past misguided efforts to bring the story to screen. The trepidation was unwarranted because The Sandman is a triumph. It's everything I had hoped to see in an adaptation, and it has been well worth the wait. What's wrong? This seems like a clear foul to you.
It's foul, but not. I mean, I just scale back the hyperbole of that one, like maybe 30%.
Wait, so it's true minus 30%. Is that what you're saying? 30% less.
Yeah.
So instead of it being a triumph, it was a squeaker?
No, that's not 30% less of a triumph is not a squeaker.
Well, if a triumph's 100 and you're the numbers guy, 30% later is a 70.
Yeah, that's not a squeaker. A squeaker would be like just getting a 51.
Well, no, but like an F would be a 60. Would be a 59, right?
No, I always do an F as a 50.
Really?
Or a 55.
Man, you're soft. All right. So you're saying it's gone from a triumph to a solid win?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's say
it was a comfortable win.
Yeah, solid.
You weren't afraid you were going to lose.
Yeah, solid win.
But you didn't feel like it was a really, terrific team performance.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So a solid win.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a solid start. And assuming Netflix renews it for a second season, which they still haven't decided, but I feel like this podcast is going to be what tips it over.
Really? With us saying it was meh. They're going to be, oh, we got to do this.
You got to do it again.
Hamilton and Austin said it was fine.
Well, because clearly they're going to be offended.
Fine.
They'll be like, it was not meh, and we will show
That's
you.
Right. We'll show you that it's perfectly fine.
Exactly. So,
so
yeah, I just, I felt like they were just, and some of it might have been budgetary, but there were just some limitations that kept it from quite being. And again, I don't have the investment in the series that other people do. And so,
right.
It wasn't like Sandman was, the be-all and end-all for me. And so seeing it on screen is a huge thing.
So it's not for you?
No.
Not enough spandex, but we've already covered that.
It's not about the spandex.
No?
No.
Okay. I've got one more on adaptation for you.
Okay.
This is from Kelly Lawler.
Okay.
And I'm going to get this one right.
Mm-hmm.
At USA Today.
Yeah, he did get that
now
one
let's
right.
see if he's going to correct that one.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's fine.
You're looking for the correction.
Yeah.
I think you mean USA Today.
No, actually, it would have been USA Today would have been the way to go with that joke.
All right. You're still mad about the defund the cannon police. I can feel it.
I'm not mad.
You're going to carry a grudge against me for a week.
No.
Get off a better
I mean, I'm not the one
week.
that's going to be carrying a grudge against you for that.
Oh, come on. People can take a joke. It's America. It's a joke.
Anywho.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
All right. So this one's long, so I'll try to clean it up and then get to the punchline.
Okay.
Kelly Lawler, USA Today.
Mm-hmm.
She describes it as, quote, excruciatingly slow and dull, if not outright boring.
Ouch.
I'll go on. Just pick out the keywords. Perplexing failure.
Mm.
Story that's sewn together haphazardly and confusingly.
Oh.
No discernible arcs.
Ew.
No standalone episodes.
Ah.
A pile of stories and moods randomly tossed on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, what is clear...
Wait, that wasn't a quote?
That was... I quoted individual words,
oh, okay.
but not like... You don't like the long sentences, I've discovered. What is clear is that fans of the comics are likely to be disappointed, and first-timers are likely to be confused and put off.
Yeah, I'd say that's almost 100% foul.
That's foul.
Yeah.
Because that's not a good sweet spot right there, when you've alienated the nerds and you've confused everybody else.
Yeah, but it
doesn't leave you a lot of room to play.
Yeah, but I don't think it did either of those things. So
No?
No. I mean, generally speaking, the show has gotten a lot of acclaim. I've seen very few people, besides that one, outwardly trashing the show.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and particularly in terms of people, that within comics and stuff talking about, I haven't seen, that kind of rage or anything like that. So I think that's. I mean, because like I said, she said there's no arcs. I'm like, no, there's two very clear arcs. There's the John D arc, and then there's the Corinthian arc. Like, there's very clearly...
There's a lot of noise around them. But that makes the show better as opposed to worse.
Yeah, there's...
Although, a season 2, if it's going to focus on Lucifer and Dream, I don't know if I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I have to read the comics. I don't know. I mean, I know the next storyline that they're doing is the big showdown with Lucifer and Dream, but I don't know how much of it is just that.
Right.
So, because the other thing too, I'll be curious to see if particularly the most recent episode they did, the Cat one and Calliope, because I think later in the series it gets much more into that kind of anthology mode where you have storylines that are just single issue.
Right.
Like they're one of the most acclaimed issues is there's an issue of it that does an adaptation of Midsummer Night's Dream.
Right.
And I'm sure that's showing up at some point.
Right.
Um,
that's the best part of the show.
So I don't know how much of the series is going to be just the Dream Lucifer battle. I think that'll obviously be what it's building towards, but I think there'll be other stuff that they can do.
So you don't think it's a mess? Like
no,
on the spectrum of reviews, you're like 30%
overall not a mess. Like I said, I did think the final 4 episodes had a bit of messiness to them in that it just seemed weird to me that like Rose starts off in Jersey and then flies to England and goes to Florida, and Corinthians wherever he is, and then flies to England missing her, and then he goes to Florida. Like, there was a lot of crisscrossing without a lot of context for like who was going where.
That comic booky kind of like relying on a lot of coincidence.
Yeah. So,
Zach, okay?
Sorry, I was just actually going to say, I took it as kind of as she's chasing her dream and Corinthians chasing her because she is his dream.
It's a lot of dream chasing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a nice reading.
That's not bad, yeah.
But you don't like it on airplanes and stuff.
What?
I don't know. You're talking about flying over to England and flying back.
No, but that's the thing. We didn't see them flying. They're in Jersey, then they're England, then they're in Florida.
Well, you want scenes on the plane?
I wanted, or just,
Don't you think it's implied that she flew? So
the problem is there's a lot of...
I want to see more airplane scenes.
Yes, I want more airplane scenes. That's clearly my desire. Because I want to take Sandman and mix it with like Airplane 2. Smash it together.
Now you give me Sandman and Airplane, the original. Yeah. That sounds kind of... I could see Dream in that movie, and it would be pretty funny.
It would be.
Yeah.
Now I will say...
Surely you're not going to give me a nightmare. I will do what I please, and don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, except you have to say it more like a 90s rush. Yes. Don't call me Shirley. You have to do it with more of a 90s kind of Robert Smith sort of vibe.
Really? So you think Airplane was made in the 90s?
No, I think the Sandman is very much a Robert Smith 90s vibe.
Oh, got it.
I will say, because in that last quote you had, there was something about... Was there something about the protagonist being unengaging?
No. But we might talk about the protagonist being unengaging.
Yeah.
Or not. Because we could talk about Dream as hero.
Yes.
Given that we've got...
I don't even know what time it is.
About 15 minutes left.
Oh, right? Cool. We're good.
To make a show.
Now, we can go long.
Well, we've been known to.
Exactly. I don't have class today, so we don't have to... We're not up against the deadline.
And I've only got a meeting, so who cares?
Oh, yeah. Who cares about that?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I found... There are ways in which the Dream... I struggled with Dream as a protagonist.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly the arc was him sort of learning to be better. It even comes up in the Calliope episode where she's like, "You're different," and I'm like, "I've learned." Yeah. But there are moments in the show where I'm like, "He's awful." Like when he claims the baby, I'm like, "Oh, if you want us to like this guy,
let us count the ways in which he is really awful."
Yeah,
like that's a really bad one.
Yeah, the baby's bad.
Yeah. So the baby is bad. It's weird to me that he decides he needs to punish all of the serial killers. Mm-hmm. But only after he's allowed them to do this all this time. Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't really find his arc to redemption believable. And maybe it's because I was never really a big fan of Robert Smith.
Yeah.
I don't find him charismatic or engaging.
Yeah.
And I don't think I buy his growth. But there's other moments, like when Lucien criticizes him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You just look after the books, you're just a librarian." In the end he's like, "Well, you can do more stuff."
Yeah.
But let's face it, either way he's failing, right? The first he's diminishing the woman, and the second he's making the woman do all the work that he's going to take credit for. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, no, well, and I think even that outburst against Lucien was after a point at which it had already been pointed out that he he had already observed, or the show had already made clear that he needed to get better.
Right.
And then he does that to Lucien. I was like, well, wait a minute, what happened to the development of him because it seems like he went backtracking there. So
right, it was not a compelling story to me. Like I get if you're the Endless, you probably are kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
It just seems
well, that
like
or if you're
you would be,
or
right?
if you are part of the Endless, it's hard to judge you by human standards.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, but like you're not going to be particularly empathetic.
Yeah.
When you see a kid who's being abused, like Jed, you're just going to punish Galt for trying to do something right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the other one.
And then, like, walk away from the kid in this, which number one is, like, he's also a bad superhero.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he's not a superhero.
Well, Jed is connected to, I'm pretty sure the Sandman is a superhero.
No, not
He was in the Justice Society.
That's a different Sandman.
Was that pre-crisis?
No, it's post-crisis. There's multiple. Now, he is connected to those Sandman, but they're not the same Sandman.
Okay. Anyway, like,
so Wesley Dodds, the Golden Age Sandman.
yes,
No,
the guy with the funny mask.
Yes,
and the gun that shot gas.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, he does have a connection to Morpheus.
What a lame superhero!
And that comes up later.
Yeah, so you think will Wesley Dodds?
I don't know.
In season 2,
I wasn't expecting Hector and Lita Hall, but
yeah, but they were so neutered as superheroes.
Yeah,
you know he's also a terrible superhero because he gets caught by Burgess.
Not a superhero.
He is.
He gets caught sacrificing.
He gets caught
taking the place of death. He does sort of sacrifice himself in that way.
The star. I don't think it's an intentional sacrifice.
It's still a sacrifice.
It's not though.
Yeah, it is.
Like no sacrifice needs to be intentional.
No, it can be unintentional.
When you're just like talking too much before you put the Corinthian down.
I unintentionally threw myself in front of that bullet. It's still a kind of a sacrifice.
No,
maybe not as much.
It's not a sacrifice at all.
It's still kind of a sacrifice.
No, I don't think so.
No, haven't you seen any of those sitcoms where there's the misunderstanding where the guy does something great and everyone hails him and then it reveals that he didn't do it on purpose and everyone's still happy with him? Because that's clearly how all those episodes work.
So you imagine that the sitcom really does explain how.
Oh yeah, that's entirely how it works.
Well, my understanding is any main character in a comic book is a superhero. No. So try to argue against that.
Well, because not every comic book is a
okay,
superhero.
Superman.
Not every comic book has to be
Flash,
a superhero, Alan.
Superhero,
your very
Hawkman,
narrow canon definition of
X-Men,
comics.
Superhero.
Yeah. You're just very narrowly defining comics as superheroes, and that's just not something I do.
No, not you.
Not down with that at all.
No, fair enough. Anyway, Dream is terrible.
He's not terrible, but
he's terrible.
He's not great.
He gets caught by Burgess, who doesn't even know what he's like. Burgess is a half-wit wizard. Then after that, he gets trapped in the Altered Ruby. Like he's so easy. He's so easy to defeat.
Yeah. Well, but he's still recovering from being trapped.
And he kills the gargoyle just to get his power back.
That was sad.
Yeah.
I know you hated it because it's a cute animated character, and you hate those.
I do not like cute animated characters, but I don't think you should.
That moment got to me. I was like, oh.
No, it didn't.
It did. I did. It's like the destruction of the gargoyle. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I did like him.
I'm sure Goldie will do better, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Hard to say.
Speaking of animal characters,
yes,
we haven't talked about, of course, one of your favorite actors to appear.
Who's that?
Patton Oswalt as Matthew the Raven.
Oh, it didn't work for me.
It didn't work for me either.
I love Patton Oswalt. Mm-hmm. Like, I did not care for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but when he showed up as, what's his name, the LMD?
Yeah.
What was his name?
God, I'm totally blanking. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
And then it was like, then there was another one.
They weren't LMDs. They were all brothers. I don't think they were LMDs.
I thought they were.
Everyone
they were
thought
not LMDs?
Everyone thought they were going to be LMDs, but I think they were just revealed as all twins.
Oh man, that makes. I thought there were more than two of them.
Yeah, there are. Well, there are triplets or whatever.
There were a lot. There were a lot.
Right. Yeah. So twins generally means two, though.
Yeah,
Am I wrong here?
Quadruplets, quintuplets, whatever. Okay. I don't remember how many there were.
Okay, now the name almost came to me when you said quintuplet.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was great television. Matthew the Raven.
Yeah.
Not great television.
Yeah, no, it's got the same issue as
other. Too recognizable, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. Is he's not changed. It's like when Kumail Nanjiani shows up in the Lord of the Rings game as one of the orcs, literally just doing his own voice. It's like it doesn't work. Like it's Patton Oswalt in a Matthew the Raven suit,
right?
Which also Matthew the Raven isn't in the comics at this point.
Oh, really?
So it like just seems to be kind of manufactured to get Patton Oswalt into the show, and also a lot of times he's just kind of underlining what's going on. Like when Lucifer's like, or no, when Morpheus like, we have to go to hell. He's like, all right, let's go to hell. I'm like, yeah. At times it felt like Patton Oswalt was in a studio improving lines to just whatever was on the screen, and not like actually
maybe not
involved in stuff.
Not a good job of it.
So
I can understand bringing Matthew in earlier. It's kind of an interesting character.
Yeah.
It gives you somebody to like play off of Dream.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it was a little too Patton Oswalt.
It was a little too Patton Oswalt-y. Yeah.
And God knows we've been trying to get Patton Oswalt on this show for a long time.
We have been
a long time,
many years
going
since
back
Agents
to
of Shield.
Shield. Yeah, that would have been what inspired the conversation, sitting in these very same chairs. Because I don't think they've changed a thing in the studio.
The chairs are different.
Are they?
Yeah, because I used to sit in that ugly blue one.
Was the ugly blue one still here?
I know,
You
but
just
we
swapped it
both
out.
had blue ones, and there was one that was good. There was one that was bad.
All right, well, there you go.
But I don't remember anything when I leave the podcast.
You're like Hitchcock and Scully on 999. Like, sitting is really important to you. Like, I remember a chair.
I remember a good chair.
So, what about Joanna Constantine?
Oh, I liked her.
Yeah.
So
So
I do. Since Jenna Coleman's days on Doctor Who, like she's my favorite of the Doctor Who companions. Like I really like Jenna Coleman as an actress. So
okay.
and her as
Why does
Joanna
that not
Constantine was great.
surprise me?
She was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it does not surprise me. Compare to John on Legends of Tomorrow. There's two Constantines to compare.
There are, yeah.
Clearly, Joanna is going to win this one for you.
Yeah,
right?
she is, but by a smaller margin than you may think.
I didn't care for Constantine on the Legends.
He was okay. I thought the actor was okay in the role. I mean, he was kind of drugged down by Legends because that's what Legends kind of did to those characters.
Are you going to tell me that Bebo was dragged down by Legends?
Can I just
will
point out?
fight you on that.
Can I point out that I was the one that had to get you to watch the Bebo episodes because you had stopped watching at that point.
The show was garbage, but
And
Bebo
I said,
was not.
and
Bebo
you act like that was your.
Bebo
It was
golden,
and that's why I told you needed to watch the finale because I watched that and I'm like, Alan needs to see Bebo.
You were right, Bebo, and that's first-rate special effects right there.
So, but yeah, I do like both of them. But yeah, I think that John gets drugged down by Legends a bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What about the Corinthians portrayal?
He was good.
I thought so too.
Yeah,
Very Southern Gothic.
I was a little
vibe
I was surprised by the Southern. I don't remember him being Southern in the comic, but he might have been. But yeah, I thought I don't know the name of the actor, but he Corinthian was great. Again, I don't know that he was as well served by the plotting in his episodes, but I thought the portrayal of Corinthian was excellent.
Yeah. How about Death then?
Yeah, I mean, I really like. Let me get the actor's name right. Kirby Howell Baptiste. I thought she was good as Death. The problem is that episode, more than maybe any other episode in the show, or that half of the episode, was very much by the numbers of the comic, and so like the dialogue is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Really, the only thing that struck me as different is the race of various characters. And so it felt to me like a bit kind of like going through the motions.
Interesting. I found that more moving than I thought I would.
A lot of people, most people say
Actually.
that's the best episode is Sound of Her Wings, and I'm just like, I gotta give it to 24/7.
I don't think that's true, but the idea, like her approach to her work, right? It's not something she does to people,
right?
It's something she does with them. I don't know, like what a healthy way to think about death.
Yeah,
but yeah, maybe it didn't, again, not canon anchored like you.
I'm not canon anchored, but
Well,
having just read the comic a week before, it felt a little too close to, like that's one of the ones where
too canonical,
too close to the comic. That one, it's almost not adapted at all.
That's not a bad thing. Does it have to be adapted?
I like a little bit of adaptation.
I kind of maybe that was one of my favorite parts because it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like the Gaiman's voice is really
could be. Yeah, that's true.
There.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Desire and Despair, I just didn't find them compellingly presented, really. Especially Despair.
Well, Despair's only there for a short little bit.
Yeah, but the way she's presented,
it
just felt
people
like
have critiqued that of the show,
like,
which Gaiman has. He did try. He did try to
care.
defend it as he said something about despair is not actually despairing. But yeah, the way
then what was Despair?
I'm not sure exactly that. Again, his explanation might not quite.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, the way despair was presented,
I
was like, oh, that's not the best mental health
Right.
Issues of body image and things like it was a lot. It felt like
Right.
a little bit too cliche, kind of.
It felt I think cliche
Despair.
is a good way of describing it.
I
Actually.
thought Desire was fine. I mean, we don't get a lot of Desire in the show, and really at this point in the comics. So
Yeah.
there's more to come with them.
Not for me. Not for me. I did like seeing Mervyn though. The pumpkin-headed guy.
You mean Merv?
Isn't his full name Mervyn?
He's Merv Pumpkinhead.
Well, I don't know him personally, so I
And
go with the formal Mervyn.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Really? So if he were to walk in the room right now, could we get Merv? By the way,
We're not going to get Merv.
I don't think we're ever going to get Merv.
Okay.
Yeah, because to get Merv means getting the actor who played Merv, and that's a big
that seems like an easier get. Who played Merv?
Mark Hamill.
Yeah, we're not getting Merv.
You think
why,
Mark?
why wouldn't Mark Hamill come? He does stuff like this all the time. He's a man of the people. Do you ever
It's
follow
Mark
it?
Hamill.
Do you ever
It's
read-
Mark. Yeah,
Do you ever read his Twitter?
I do read his Twitter,
Very salt of the earth.
He is,
He's
but-
exactly
but-
the kind of guy we should be getting.
That's
but
fair,
he's one.
that's
I mean,
fair.
but again, that was one where, unlike Patton Oswalt as Matthew,
I didn't know it was Mark Hamill.
I did, and even the issue too is that it is Mark Hamill doing maybe a slightly gravelier Mark Hamill voice.
Mhm.
But the issue is the only way people know Mark Hamill's voice is Luke Skywalker in the early films. It's like
Right.
no one, they still think he's doing a voice.
I know him as that Flash part he played.
Like he's not actually doing that much of voice, but it works because no one really knows what.
Right.
Unlike Patton Oswalt, who has a very distinctive
Right.
voice, Mark
So,
Hamill does not have.
somebody with a bland voice we could get on a podcast.
He doesn't have a bland voice.
You just.
No. I said it was it's
Oh, by the way, Ed said you were lying about the 75 million last week too. He said you definitely said 75 million. I can
what's
show you the message.
What's 75 million?
The number of viewers. You said the peak.
We don't have
viewers
viewers.
were-
We have listeners.
of Abbott Elementary. That actually does have viewers. Yeah.
Thought I had you for a moment. Yeah. Well, Ed did not express that to me, so I only have your word to go on.
Well, I will
No
share.
proof.
I will share the Facebook Messenger because for some reason that's how we communicate
Oh,
with each
Facebook
other.
Messenger. Like
I
can
know,
trust
right?
That.
Like, how old are we? All right, we have a couple minutes left.
Sure.
Do you have anything big? I've got just some of the questions raised in the show. I'd like to know your answers to.
No, I think we've covered most everything that I had.
All right, here's my question for you.
All right.
In-
Or these are your big questions.
rapid fire big questions.
Boom.
Death and Dream grant you eternal life like Hobbes.
Ooh.
Do you think you'd like it? One of the great twists of Hobbes is he's actually, like you expect when he comes back after 100 years, he's going to be like, just pull the plug, dude.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, I will live forever. Like, which are you?
I don't know. It would depend when my 100 years start. Like, are they starting now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Because you're just looking at, like, COVID and nuclear
Yeah,
apocalypse. You're like,
I'm looking at the way things are going. Like,
you could spend the next 80, like the last 80 years just, like, sitting in a nuclear wasteland.
yeah,
waiting for,
exactly,
like, Dream
exactly,
to
yeah,
come back.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Now, if I can go back to like when Hobbes started,
So, like,
And
the
ma-
Black Plague era is where
or
you want
or
you would
maybe
really
not quite
situate
that far.
yourself.
Maybe yeah. Go back far enough that but yeah,
I
no.
feel like you'd start in 1980 and try to pause it in 1988. That would be your dream.
Well, no, because then I wouldn't get my Avengers movies. So
Oh.
I really need that. One of my 100 years has to encompass like the
Yeah.
the 80s.
Right.
But yeah, like if I'm starting now, I don't think that's going to end.
So, but do you
well
think
for
you could
me.
really live like 100 years at a time? Like
It's tough.
like watching everybody you know grow old and die.
I would
and,
just
like,
not
you're
know
old.
people.
Well, that is kind of your approach.
That
in
would
many
be. I would
ways.
just
yeah.
hunker down in the house,
Yeah.
build my medieval Legos,
Right.
whatever
Across the
those.
street from the Wawa.
Yeah,
Well, Turkey Hill.
Turkey
but-
Hill.
Yeah. All right. Another question.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this show, whenever people get tremendous power,
Mhm.
all they want is youth, immortality, and power.
Yes.
You're given that kind of power. What do you want? Do you want something besides youth, immortality, or undeniable power?
Yes.
What would you go for? Don't if it's a Lego collection,
It's not a Lego collection.
you're aiming too low.
It's not a Lego collection.
Okay.
I would just want enough money so that I can just spend all of my time reading and building Legos.
See, you said it wasn't Legos.
It wasn't Legos. It's money to facilitate, among other things, my Lego collection, and to read all the books that I have. That's really all I want.
Yeah. So books and Legos.
Like this is my retirement plan,
right, books and Legos.
pretty much.
That's it.
No, money, so
Well,
that I can afford
So you can have
things.
books and Legos.
Well, and food and things like that.
So you
but
want
just
food, books,
just,
and Legos.
Just so that I can live my life the way I want and not be bothered by
But you
people.
don't want to live in like a huge mansion.
Not a huge mansion.
Well, now you're expanding. Now you want a big house.
No,
and
I just said not a
and
big
books and
mansion.
Legos.
I say not a big mansion. You're like, so you want a big mansion? It's
No,
like
I
you
said,
don't-
so you want a big house, though. You
I
don't want a
big
mansion.
house. No, I don't like a decent sized house.
A 4-bedroom
I
house
re-
not big enough
Actually,
for you?
what I want is I want that Lego house in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Okay. So you want a house.
Decent house, yes.
And food.
Yeah.
And Legos.
Mm-hmm. And
And
books.
books.
And or just the money for all of those things.
And the money for all of those things.
And anything else that I need. I just need unlimited money.
So, in other words, you are exactly like these people.
No, because I don't want power. It's not like I'm going to use the money for power. I'm going to use the money to just sit in my house and do nothing.
Okay.
Some would make the argument that money is power.
Yes, but I'm not using it that way.
But you don't want youth. Like, you're happy just toddling along like you are.
I'd like, I don't necessarily need youth. If I could maybe, just be kind of the age I am now, maybe a little bit younger.
Really? Like,
Yeah.
this is what you would zero in on, like, as peak Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I go peak Patrick, but it's a decent Patrick.
Yeah.
I could,
You're making me feel like decent Patrick is peak.
I could. Okay, that's hurtful.
Well, you're having trouble identifying a different time. Like,
Well,
most
no,
people would go back to, like, 28,
No,
right?
no, I would not do that.
No?
I was in grad school.
Well, you don't have to go back to grad school. You just get to pick the age you're going to be.
No, I'm
34? Like, 34 seems like a good place to... Not for Zach. Like,
Maybe
he's thinking, like, holy...
Yes.
Like, that's really old, man.
Zach's like 15.
If I could be 15 again, sir,
How young do you
I'd
guys
be
think
happy.
I am? How young do you guys think I am? I'm getting no credit over here.
I don't know. You're like, are you 12?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not shooting for 34 as you're, like, the age you would pick.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. It wouldn't be in my 20s.
Really?
It would not be
Okay.
in my 20s.
That's a very mature outlook. Yeah.
It wouldn't be in my 20s either, and I didn't get that's a very mature outlook.
Well, you pick now.
Now-ish.
And you're like, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Got unlimited power.
No, I have
I would
unlimited money.
No, but you started with
and roughly
all this tremendous power,
but
and
I'm
you've
saying
chosen
this-
just to focus on money.
To be fair, I don't think Hobb aged. He just stayed the same age all the time.
No, it's true.
So-
but I'm giving you the added bonus of like picking what age you don't want to age from.
I'm fine the way I am.
I admire that. Like
Yeah,
that's
I'm
a
good. I'm pretty
it's
good.
like the argument we had weeks ago about perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine.
Good.
All right, I
don't
got a couple
aspire.
more for you.
Okay.
Does truth really require that we abandon dreams and give up on hope?
I'm sorry, that's one of your two quick questions?
Yeah. I've
sorry.
got a whole list of them.
Truth requires us to give up on dreams and abandon all hope?
Yeah, abandon dreams and give up on hope, but you can abandon and give up on whichever you prefer.
I'm going to say that is untrue.
I agree with you.
Yes.
It's a terrible way to look at life.
Yes.
Why are serial killers such an American thing?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, this is the rapid fire round.
Oh, sorry, because America
I got
sucks.
Damn. Okay. Fair.
Like rapid fire.
Why is it today that dreams seem to die in the waking world, but nightmares thrive?
I'm going to go with America sucks again.
Let me see if I can find something else. Why can we look at an epidemic?
Oh, Jesus.
1 million people can't sleep, can't wake, caught somewhere in between. Why can we look at an epidemic, but the world trundles along as if nothing is out of the ordinary?
Yeah, that's really unbelievable.
I'm asking why. I know.
Yeah.
Like
It's really far-fetched that would happen.
I don't think it's far-fetched. I'm saying why.
Just to vary my answers,
Yeah.
because people suck.
Yeah. So, is it America or is it people?
Some of it's America, some of it's people.
Okay. All right.
By the way, are there still people around when I'm living forever?
I don't know. Like that's part of the.
Yeah.
You're not really. You get every 100 years you get a chance to check out.
Yeah. I guess
Well,
there are
even
people.
even Dream kind of had the stipulation of you have to go through the time. Like you have to go
Right.
through it. You have to live
Right,
it.
but if
Yeah.
I could live it, building Legos and reading books in my house.
Well, but you can't go too far back. Then Legos haven't been around for. You might not know this. All of human history.
Right, but I would go back in time and invent Legos, which would then give me my unlimited money.
Well, first you have to invent plastic.
Yes.
Okay, so you've thought it through.
Well, I have unlimited time. I'm sure I can figure out plastic
Where would you start?
with some polymers. Put together a couple polymers. Think I don't know that plastic is made of polymers?
I don't think you know what polymers
First thing I do,
are.
That's not the question.
That's the well, if you're gonna build Legos out of polymers, you
Okay,
need to
fine.
know what a
I'll
polymer
find
is.
Mr. Polymer that invented the polymers.
Excuse me, are you Ian Polymer? I see you go through the yellow pages, like calling all the polymers. Do you have any scientists in the family?
Hello, I've got one word for you. Plastic? Nope. Time to dial another one. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, boop.
Okay, you're not going to be when there's a beep boop.
Oh, that's
phone.
right.
You're going to be. That's all the questions I have.
Oh,
I
is that
feel
all
like-
you've got?
I feel
Okay.
like we've exhausted them. If we could, though.
By them, are you talking about the questions or our audience?
Well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If we could get Mr. Polymer on the show.
Patrick
Mr.
Polymer.
was it Patrick Polymer? Okay.
Oh, because it's a superhero.
It's got to have.
So it's definitely gonna be
Or
alliterated.
Peter Polymer.
Peter Polymer.
Peter Polymer. I think that works.
Yeah,
Oh my
I don't mind
gosh.
Peter Polymer.
How many polymers could a Peter Polymer pick if he could pick no.
Why would you be picking a Peter Polymer?
I don't know. You're picking polymers. How many polymers could a Peter Polymer pick if a Peter Polymer could pick polymers?
Yeah, there you go. Homework for you next week. You need to come and define polymer.
It's a mer that's poly. Boom!
And Zach is going to surprise us next week with our first
With Neil Gaiman,
big guest star.
who I'm sure is going to come on here after the way
After
we
this
sort of-
conversation?
we sort of
After
very-
this one, I don't know.
We have covered ourselves in glory.
oh, yes, we have.
It's a perfectly fine show.
As we do on every episode.
That's right,
We
perfectly
really
fine.
should call. In fact, we should rename the podcast "Covered in Glory" with Alan and Patrick.
I don't think. I
Oh,
just
no.
feel like that
Does it feel like that?
could be read in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel
Even-
like people typing that into a search bar on Podbean would
Yeah, that's a
not
fair
be...
point.
How about
this
okay?
is not
Even
what I was looking
even more covered in glory.
That's
I
just
think-
part two.
for. I think that's just more.
Even
glory.
more glory covered. We're getting
Yeah,
better
no,
or worse.
No,
You're-
I think
It's like the lenses at the doctor office.
You've gone into
one or two.
You've gone into a
One or
cul-de-sac
two.
where 1 and 2 are all the same.
Okay.
You know, and they're not good.
Okay.
It's a repeat.
They're not.
It's like the Twilight Zone.
Okay.
right. I can't remember what we're doing next week.
Knows Twilight Zone, but doesn't
That's
know
right.
Hall & Oates.
I'm sorry. We watched it in my elementary school.
That's awesome. We need to
Yeah,
talk
it
about
was-
that.
it
as
was
well.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Twilight Zone. I
Yeah,
thought you-
yeah,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
you watched
Not Hall
it
&
in
Oates.
reference to Hall & Oates.
Oh.
No,
Like,
no,
what-
sorry.
No.
Twilight Zone. Gotcha.
No. So, two things. We should talk about what we might be talking about next week, and we should remind everybody this is also available on Cougar Radio at
Yes.
cougarradio.net.
Yes,
Should probably do that at the front, not the end,
possibly.
in the future.
It's fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I think-
Who doesn't stick through to the end?
Is next week our pop culture roundup?
I don't remember. Oh, then there we go. Whack. Can everybody hear
We can fix that in post.
Can we?
Yes.
Like you have this
That
idea
one,
that,
I don't know if we can fix.
We can fix it
that
in
one
post.
in post.
that everything you do can be fixed in post.
Well, that's because everything.
Oh my
can be
gosh,
fixed
it's like
in
that
post.
one episode of The Goldbergs when he's like, "It's fine, we can fix it in post."
Exactly.
I didn't watch the Goldbergs.
I didn't
very
either.
much,
You've
so-
never seen The Goldbergs?
I've seen parts of it.
Oh
And,
man,
you know, I think as somebody who was alive in the '80s, I
yeah, that's
It's
fair.
possible I
don't-
might have deleted the photo that had the schedule.
I don't fully appreciate.
So
think it's
yeah, I think next.
portrayal
I think next week it'll be a surprise. Next week what we're doing.
That's right. And
Yeah.
why not? Why not make it a?
You
Why
gotta
not
tell the
make it a
listeners to
surprise?
come back next week to find
Because
out.
I think next
right?
week was
Ooh.
it was either the Arrowverse farewell or pop culture roundup on the original schedule.
Well, we done some Arrowverse today. We're gonna have to
We
do
have.
that eventually.
Yeah,
yeah.
we got some
You
time.
know, it's Zach's right. It's like it's trick or treat time coming up on.
Spooky season is what they
Right,
call it.
spooky season, and so
Spooky season.
we bought one of those mixed bags of candy,
Okay,
and the viewer will come. Not the viewer,
listeners, we don't have viewers.
Oh, the listeners will come next week,
If they listen, they will come.
and they might get a Kit Kat. They might get a Crackle.
Almond Joy
Oh, if they get an
or a
Almond Joy,
Mounds.
like,
You're gonna get a Mounds.
Oh, if I
Mounds
get a
are-
Mounds, I'm throwing that thing right.
You know what they're gonna get?
Disgusting.
You know what they're gonna get?
What?
Covered in glory.
Oh gosh.
I think I feel like that's the end right there.
Yeah,
Covered in
On
glory.
a lot of levels.
Yeah. Ugh.
That is the end.
All right.